Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the BassBlaster, and this is your Seafoam Top 5 of the Week in Bass Fishing, number 1. Everyone's been saying that sooner or later, with more and more people fishing offshore with forward-facing sonar, the shallow fish will get less pressure, which would be great for bank beaters, but...
Not so fast! Not so fast! I'll have to give the matter a little thought.
Okay, green wizard alien thing. Anyhow, I was talking to John Cox, who is a real shallow water wizard. I know how he does it. He beats banks. Anyhow, I'm gonna let John say what he said in a recent BassBlaster email. You know what's happening? All those fish coming in, my best spots up shallow, 2 or 3 boats are in front of them, picking them off beforehand. So when they come to the bank, they're smart. They were just caught minutes or hours ago. Dang, that means they've got snatched bass fever or something like that. Anyhow, that kind of thing's been rumored to happen around the spawn, when basically every fish in the lake is coming to the bank at some point. Pros have been saying that on some lakes, fish have been leaving spawning areas. They move up and then leave faster than they've ever seen it before. Now, the thinking was that guys with forward-facing sonar might be sore-mouthing them on the way to the bank.
Is that what's happening?
Is that happening maybe year-round in some lakes? If so, that is a whole new wrinkle on that forward-facing sonar deal.
Hey, that's new.
Will it be a big deal? Maybe. Depends on the lakes you fish and the tournament trails you're fishing. Number 2.
Alrighty then. Major League Fishing went last week with its forward-facing sonar regs. What they lined out for all their trails looks like this. Just messing. But they do have different regs for all their different trails, or most of them. Here's what it looks like, the shortest way I could make it. All Major League Fishing trails no more than 2 forward-facing and or 360 transducers per boat, and a limit on screen height on the bow for safety reasons, of course. Bass Pro Tour in practice, forward-facing and 360 are good. In the tournament, only for 1 out of 3 periods per day, which should make for interesting TV, or live is what they're thinking, I bet. Invitationals, in practice you can use it all. In the tournament you can use forward-facing and 360 on days 1 and 3, but not on day 2. And on day 2, those transducers have to have a high visibility cap that they will provide. Toyota's BFLs in college, you can use it all every day, practice and the tournament. At the high school level, you can use it in practice, but in the tournament, no forward-facing sonar and no 360. For what it's worth, my 2 cents on these regs is that they're interesting and they probably sound more complicated than they really are. I mean, how many people are gonna fish more than one of these circuits at a time? Is this the right answer? Are any of these forward-facing sonar restrictions right? Well, obviously none of them are right, because people are complaining about all of them. Now just remember, whatever restrictions you're seeing are just for next year. Let's see what happens, man. Number 3. All right, just a real quick deal. Gotta point out that the leagues, the tours, whatever you want to call them, they had to regulate forward-facing sonar some way, somehow. Why? Not just because of fish and fishing. It's because of what's coming next. That's right, Tony Stark and his buds are now playing with AI, which mysteriously is rolling out so fast that no one has a real good handle on it except Skynet.
Hiding, starving, or worse, captured and put into camps.
Man, that whole Terminator deal is pretty spooky when you really look at it. Anyhow, in fishing, it's not much of a stretch to figure out what's coming next. Those forward-facing sonar blobfish are going to get much more defined, and I bet they're going to have labels on them so you know if it's a bass, a crappie, a catfish, whatever. And those are just the obvious things. Tech is moving so fast, and we have 3 companies, Humminbird, Garmin, and Lowrance, all trying to outdo each other. It's an arms race, like Skynet.
Skynet, you need to stop it. You need to end it. And Skynet said, oh, you've asked me to destroy myself. You are the enemy. You must be destroyed.
Dang, man, someone put a fishing rod in that guy's hand. Number 4. Check out this pic. What do you see? How about this one? Do those 2 Z-Man jerk shads look a little big or long to you? Well, they should, because they're the 7-inchers. And the guys that fish them, Jacob Fouts at the Bassmaster Elite on Lake Champlain and Brett Cannon at the Leech Lake Open, were both using them for smallmouths.
Wow, that's huge.
Now, typically, as we all know, guys will usually use smaller baits for smallmouths. Smallmouths. But those 7-inch baits are larger, obviously, than the 4 and 5-inch jerk shads typically used for largemouths. Why is that? Well, I asked the guy who's probably sold more Z-Man jerk shads than anybody on the planet, Jeff Gustafson. Of course, Gussie won the 2023 Bassmaster Classic with it, and he literally has every single size of Z-Man jerk shads rigged up in his boat. Here's what he said. I've started using the 7-inch quite a bit this year, especially when you see them spitting up big bait. You saw that at Champlain for sure, lakes where they feed on ciscos or herring, bigger bait fish. You wouldn't think a smallmouth would get that 7-incher, but they have no problem getting it. Wild! So if the smallmouths have no problem getting a bait that big, the largemouths will be like... Not one of my favorite bands, man, but the clip fit. Number 5. Did you see this bait? New York's Dante P. Rhino, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He used that bait or fished that bait to finish 3rd at the semi-recent St. Lawrence Toyota event, MLF Toyota. Now, all of us at the BassBlaster were talking about how we hadn't seen it before, or what is it, or maybe we saw it and forgot what it is. Either way, we didn't know what it was. Now, a couple folks thought it might be a live target bait. Good guess, but nah, that's not what it was. After a little internet hunt, we figured out it's this. An Issei GC Zari Vibe. Not sure if Dante fished the regular size or they also have a junior version. It's a strange looking lipless crank for sure. Kind of looks like a cross between a crawfish and a dolphin, like a dolphin head. Anyhow, it looks good underwater, and it seems to shimmy well when it falls, too. Some of the stuff online claims that you can crank it over rocks and it won't get hung, either. It's always fun to see a new bait and learn about it, man. But is it as fun as dwarf metal? I guess it's tough to beat that, man. That's all I got for you this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Seafoam. Go to bassblaster.com or .rocks to sign up for the juice-filled Bass Blaster email, and it really is. See you next week. God bless you.